Onrush is my latest platinum, and it's basically the love child of past favourites Burnout and Motorstorm, if you remember those games. And they've taken that DNA and they've created a 6v6 racing game here. It's a bold idea, and for the most part it works. It has 8 vehicles, 2 for each subcategory, so you get bikes, cars and Humvees to drive with, and you can smash everyone else with. And as you play, you get to customise, to give yourself some of that individual identity, but that is really as far as what you get with the variety of the vehicles on show. But all the vehicles have their merits, and the handling is like any other arcade racer, so it's responsive and friendly, and it works fine with the core gameplay, so everything is smooth and enjoyable. A big emphasis is needed on the word events here, as there is no traditional racing in this game. Instead, there is 4 modes on a handful of maps, each complete with day-night cycles and changeable weather for you to get to grips with. As you can see from the video, the individual events are as follows. Overdrive asks you to earn boosts by smashing and jumping to build a score, and hope your team builds enough points to outscore the opposition. You get Lockdown, which has simply both teams fighting to hold a moving zone for 5 seconds, and if your team is successful, you win a point. The team that hits the target amount of points wins. You get Switch, which gives each player in a team 3 lives, and you must eliminate the other team's lives before they get yours. It also has an added twist that each time you lose a life, you gain a progressively bigger vehicle. And then lastly, you get Countdown, which is a simple drive through the gates mode. Each gate adds time to a ticking clock, and your team has to outlast the opposition to win. Unfortunately, this is where the game falls on its face around the halfway point. The 4 modes have their positives, and it's something different for a racing game, but it gets repetitive after you've done each one a handful of times, and with only a few tracks, you begin to just feel like you're repeating yourself rather than finding anything new in the game. And that the only thing you're really doing is pushing for the next level up to get a loot crate, and that in turn gives you a new celebration or skin. And this is where the problems start to ever grow. In an effort to keep things interesting, they give you in-race targets. Destroy X amount of enemies, or do X amount of tricks and win a race, or just complete it. This in turn gives you superstar points, which unlocks the next few events, and you do this all over again until you get to the end. For Platinum Hunters, this is the only challenging trophy, as you will need all the superstar points, and there's only a handful of tricky little in-game missions that may get you stumped for a few races. Unfortunately, there are several issues, and one huge flaw to the whole game is it needs to be permanently online for the game to save and record your stats and allow you to progress through the levels. You can play offline, but you can't progress or record your stats, so any racing you do is for nothing. With this horrible feature comes the worst issue in the game by far, especially if you're trophy hunting. You will often finish an event, beat the challenges, only to be greeted by a server error. This means that victory that you just did doesn't exist, and those tricky mini missions you finally beat, they didn't happen either, leaving a bad taste in the mouth. Even worse, you may be in a multi-match tournament, you get the dreaded server error, and if you're in the final, you're being put straight back to the beginning, meaning you've just wasted a massive chunk of time and there's been no progress recorded whatsoever, including all those mini missions would have just been erased. Another issue after that is the lack of personality and connection to everything. Bright colours and dancing teammates and loud sounds all try to hide the fact that every team is just AI. There is no story or clips to give any sense of immersion, and this game screams for a proper RPG element to keep things busy and interesting, but too quickly you feel it's race after race with just generic cars driving around you. Though, a shining light to all this is the co-op. This allows you and friends to play, and it's better for it, as you can team up and actively work together on those mini mission targets. Some tiny issues left was that races can be heavily scripted and you didn't need to do much for your team to win. The takedown cam can often leave you crashing yourself, and you can be fighting in the game only to be spawned ahead, as it wrongly believes you're behind when you're actively with all the other racers. Don't get me wrong, there is issues, but there is plenty more positives for this game. Its quick gameplay always has you involved, the music and crashes all sound great, and it's just satisfying for a pick up and play type of game. It's a solid effort, just missing in the depth, so it gets a 3 out of 5 from me. Platinum Hunters will find this a mild challenge with nearly everything unlocking just from playing till the end.
Well, we assume it is. And what now for Onrush and its 12 founders? They ain't gonna stop. It's not part of the plan.